and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest is someone that really spoke me last time, and I hope she does again. My guest is Marsha Gallant, the marketing manager for Upstreet Craft Brewing and Libra non-alcoholic craft beer. Thanks for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Thanks so much for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I talked to Mitch, your CEO, had him as a guest, and, he told me, first off, the company is the first B corporation on the island, and, I had a great time just talking to him, and then I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, it'd be cool to do kind of a giveaway. I was like, yeah, talk to Marsha, and like, okay, all right, so, I reached out, and like, you were just the best. And like the my friend on Instagram that got the gifts loved it. It was just a great package. So thank you for that. But how did you get to work? How did you get to your position? Like, what was that journey? How did it start for you?
Oh man, I think I am the poster child for very odd ways of getting into an industry.
All
I'll put
right.
it that way. Basically, I've got a a diploma in graphic design. So I started as a graphic designer, and then I went back to school to do anthropology.
Why?
And then why? Well, I still love it. In my 20 something brain, I thought, okay, so I want to do something that is a little more professional than graphic design. So you know what? Social
Oh.
sciences. I'm sure there are tons of jobs in social sciences, which was kind of my hilarious first mistake.
Right.
But while I was doing graphic design at UPEI, I started getting really into YouTube and making videos. Um, so then I entered a contest through Parks Canada to be one of 32 people to get Canada's greatest summer job, where basically I won. So there was 32 of us. They flew to Banff to do Adobe training, and then gave us cameras for the summer and sent us out into different Parks Canada field units. Then sent us to the Torngat Mountains in northern Labrador
Wow.
for a week at the end to shoot polar bears and seals, and it was incredible.
Right.
So it completely changed my trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up switching schools. I went to UNB to do, I still kept anthropology, but I did a double in multimedia studies.
Oh yeah.
And that's where I started to sort of get into more of the marketing side of things as well. I had a couple of different jobs after school, but then I had an amazing job at Confederation Center, which is our big art center here on PEI. And I loved it there, but I said, the only place I would ever leave Confed Center for is Upstreet. That's the only place. And then, weirdly enough, after I was there for about 3 years, Upstreet posted the marketing manager position, and I was reading through it, and it was just like check, check, check. Like this is mine. So I spent an outrageous amount of time creating this cover letter that looked like social media blurbs. So like there was a Facebook thing to talk about me, and then a Twitter, and then like an Instagram one too. Oh my goodness, I spent so much time on it because I'm like, this job is
Mm.
mine, and I need to prove on paper before they meet me in person that I am perfect for it. And they believed me, and they took a chance on me.
Why?
So
Why was
yeah.
that? What was the reason behind that decision that the only place you'd go would be to Upstreet?
Aside from loving craft beer, it was community. Upstreet has always been very, like, first and foremost, community driven. I mean, the whole mission is refreshing the community. You always see Upstreet behind, every like incentive or every cause, giving money away. Like we do 10% of our profits go to our Do Good Fund for arts and culture initiatives. We do artist residencies when we can get artists in when it's not COVID. We do bike raves in partnership with Art in the Open. There's just so much all the time. We even do like a big yearly block party where we host live music for free all day and welcome the community in. Again, we haven't done that the last year or so, but can't wait to get back to it. So yeah, I guess it was just even looking from the outside, the culture at Upstreet was
Mm.
unique, and I knew that I wanted to be a part of it, and I was so right. It's I don't know if I could go back to a normal job after having
How
this
long have
one.
you been there now?
I've been with Upstreet for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Wait, let's talk
Yeah,
about the
it's
Parks Canada thing. How was Banff? Like to the Banff Center? Is that where you went? Isn't that place so
Yeah,
friggin' cool?
it was mind blowing. And I just the whole time I was there, I'm like, why am I here? Like I have Adobe professionals teaching me. They're just giving me equipment and they're like, hey, go out into the mountains of Banff and shoot something, and then we'll show you how to edit it. It was such a amazing experience. Yeah. So the Banff Center, I have it on my bucket list to somehow get back there for like an artist residency, but I just have to pick up some sort of art
I mean,
first.
you
It's
know what?
fine.
Okay,
I'll
so
figure it out.
they currently have these like writing thing. You should check it out. Well, you should check it out. I don't know if it's online, but you should check it out. You know, one of the best views at our place is like, in the restaurants, and then you can see those three fucking mountain tops. It's like,
The Three
yeah.
Sisters?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's
Like, as in, it's one of the places where I'm like envious of the people that live there year round, cause like you get to see that
yeah.
all day. Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what? I actually worked in Banff before that. I worked in Kananaskis for 6 months at one point, and then I worked in Banff at a semi-precious stone and fossil
Oh,
shop for 6 months. Yeah. It is such a party town. It is so much fun, but I did not save a dime. So I went home with the same. And when I got there, I'm trying to remember what year it was. It was right after I graduated design because I'm like, I just want to do something fun. Yeah, so I think I made $13 an hour, and at the time I was like, $13 an hour. This is incredible. Oh my gosh, right? And yeah, it's such an awesome vibe. Funny thing is I don't snowboard, so it was completely lost on me, but hiking was
yeah.
fun.
Well, the thing is, I'm pretty much gonna say I might be the laziest person you know. And the very first time I went to Banff, I went for like this course called the adventure masterclass something. And you know what, like that should have given me a hint of what was going to happen. Like adventures in the name, I'm like, yeah, it's like, there'll be film anyway. So I signed up, got in, went, mistake. First off, so they're these two instructors, and between the two of them, they've been on top of Mount Everest 7 times.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, there's a red flag.
So that was it. I was like, okay. And then I enter class, and then everyone's doing the introduction, what they do. And then we have people that jump out of planes, people that ski, people that like live in the North Pole, people that like do dog sledding, and like, fuck, I don't even hike, right? Anyway, they put us into groups, and like we are supposed to shoot something during, I think we had like a week or so there, and then we are supposed to shoot something the last 2 days, 3 days. Well, shoot one day and then edit and submit it the next, so 2 days. And then the Tunnel Mountain right behind the Banff Center, right? So my team decided, okay, they were going to climb it, and like I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, the bottom line is that I was the weak link there. But we ended up coming with a long film, and then I did climb on top of Table Mountain and no Table Mountain, Tunnel Mountain, and I realized why people love climbing mountains. I think it's like you're pushing yourself, blah blah blah. But I really think it's for the view, cause like up there, oh my god, it looks so amazing. Anyway, thanks for taking me back to Banff. I really miss it though.
Oh, I did tunnel as well, and I only did it after I had left Banff. Like I had just been visiting. My sister used to live out there
Oh.
as well. So I was back visiting, and I'm like, I'm not leaving this time unless I do tunnel. So I just climbed it by myself one morning, and I got up to the top, and I was feeling foolish for not having done it before then. It's like that mixture of like you just climbed a mountain and then you see this crazy view that you know that only people who have actually climbed tunnel
Right,
can see that view. So
right,
it's like it's
right.
earned.
Like I
I
have
love
some
it.
photos from there that I don't know. I've just never put it yet because I think I'm like, okay, when I go back there, I'll put them up. Anyway, back to you. So, why did you decide to do graphic design?
I did graphic design because been I've always been creative, and I guess I've been like a really strong writer and really strong for drawing and
Oh,
painting and things like that. So when I went into graphic design, I was trying to look for a tangible career that would allow me to sort of excel in the things I was good at. Not really understanding at the time that graphic design, unless you are like a brand designer, is not super
Oh.
creative most of the time. Um, so I mean, if you look at our graphic designer for Upstreet, Judd Haynes, incredible, absolutely incredible illustrator and graphic designer. If you don't know him, you should look him up. He is, and he's a fantastic dude too. But he will just like, we'll tell him a concept of a label, like we'll tell him a name and say like, oh, we're thinking about this vibe, and then he'll come back the next day with something that we don't even have to touch. We're just like, nope, it's perfect. Yeah. So if you like our Upstreet labels, you can
Right.
thank Judd Haynes. Whereas the sort of design that most people end up doing is more like layout design. What I do basically at Upstreet now is I still do some graphic design. So I'll do our sell sheets. I will take all the beautiful branding that Judd does and then do the nitty gritty and put it and make it look good on a page with all of the information. Which I love doing at Upstreet because it's not my full-time thing, but I found it quite soul crushing when I left school. But yeah, I'm happy now.
So like posters and stuff.
Yeah, basically like anything that you would
Oh.
see like layout design as opposed to really fun, like yeah,
Like go and create something.
like create something original.
So like I mean, when you got in, you that was what you wanted. Did you ever do that in any of the jobs you did?
Yeah, so I worked at a few sign shops. And then actually I think I used my graphic design skills in every job I've had. I worked
Mm.
as a multimedia designer for a while after university, and I used my design to like create like what are they called? Slides to go in with the courses. And even when I was at Confed
Oh.
Center, if you work in social media, graphic design is a huge, huge asset. And now there's things called Canva, which basically do all of the
Mm.
hard stuff for you.
Toot, toot,
Oh
toot,
my
toot.
gosh.
Yep.
And it's so funny because I will look at something and be like, that would have taken me an hour. And now my wonderful coordinator, Grace, she just goes into Canva and she's like, oh, yes, I just put this together. And then, like, like you've done video, it's such a different world now. It's just so much easier, and I'm so used to doing everything so manually that it still blows my mind. It's great though.
And yeah, and the Pax Canada thing. What are some of the things you shot in while you had that job?
Oh man, so I got placed in the PEI field unit, so that was back home basically, and there I shot three videos. Oh my gosh, I'm smirking because they're so dorky. But I think it's a perfect representation of me. I shot one and I called it Plovers in a Dangerous Time. Um, and it was about the piping plovers on PEI. And then there was another one called Discovering Anne, a Redhead's Tale, because that's actually been a huge pet peeve of mine growing up on PEI with red hair. When I was a kid, it was like every year I went to a door for Halloween, they'd be like, why didn't you dress up as Anne? And then every time there was a school play, I was Anne. And I mean, it was just, it's just one of those little things. Anyway, I made a video about it and I did a third one about kiteboarding on PEI. But it was really the Torn Gap Mountains was the real takeaway. I think it took 4 planes and a boat to get there. We stayed at a base
What?
camp. Yeah, it was it's called
How cold was it?
Cold. We were there. We were there I borrowed the winter gear from Parks Canada to go there in August. Um, yeah, so we were past, there were no trees. We were past the Arctic tree meridian, and there were icebergs still floating around. And I mean, I'm sure everybody would be like, that's not cold. But for me, flying in like a PEI summer is a glorious
Right,
summer.
right, right, right. I mean,
But
and it's August also, right? Like,
yeah,
you don't really need winter jackets in August. I mean,
I
god
had to
damn.
try to find a winter hat. And I ended up paying like $45 because a shop had to go to the back to see if they could find something, and that's the one hat they had. Yeah,
Wow.
but it was an incredible experience. There was just polar bears, and we were on a boat, and they just slowed the boat down, and I got to capture live footage of polar bears and cubs, and even thinking back to that 10 years later, just blows my mind that I had that
How
opportunity.
big are those things?
Huge, scary. Glad to have been on a boat.
Did that make any brawl and shit?
Well, they didn't say anything when we were there. It
Oh,
was
okay.
it was a mom and her baby. sort of going along this really rocky part, and we
Mm.
followed them along for quite a while. Yeah, they
Yeah.
didn't make any sounds, but they were definitely keeping an eye on us.
Yeah, I don't know. A friend was mine was telling me of this place where people get on these huge trucks and then like you kind of drive and then the pull up it. I'm like, no, no, it's fine. I can just watch it on the TV screen. I'm all good. I'm all good with that. So you get off street, you do your cool resume, get in. Did you get the job right away? How did you find out about that you got the position?
So I had gotten a call to sort of do some like simple references and some a few online tests for sort of strengths and things like that. And I assumed because I had gotten that call that I was a strong candidate. So I was kind of expecting a call within the next few days. And I was at my old job and I was petrified because I love all my coworkers there.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know what to do. This is just going to be like I'm just going to have to make myself say that I'm going to leave. Like, I'm just going to make myself say it. So then I got the call and it came up that it was from Upstreet. And I ran to an empty office and they offered me the job and I was just like, yes, I'll take it. 3 weeks notice. Perfect. And then I just like blanked because that was the only way I could make myself do it because I knew it was right. But it's just so hard. Like those big decisions, man. And this is why I'm just never leaving Upstreet, you
How
know?
long had you been there by the time you got the call?
I had been at Confederation Center for about 3.5 years. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
about the same as this. Yeah, and it was really great there. It was a totally different experience. I did a lot of photos and videography. I worked with the actors from the Charlottetown Festival and made videos for the people coming to live at the center, like the big artists coming. So it was really cool. I got to meet a lot of artists and celebrities coming through, which I'm not good at that.
How?
Um I'm just embarrassing. Like I build it up so much, even if I'm not a fan of them.
Mm.
Actually, I've got a great story of trying to meet a childhood hero at Comic Con or a HalCon. Um, I used to love Garrett Wang from Star Trek Voyager. I'm telling you so much about what a giant dork I am, and I'm just owning it these days. But a friend of mine bought me tickets to go and meet him because I've been such a big fan. And there was no lineup to meet him, and I stood at the back of the ropes looking at him for about 20 minutes.
There
And
was
then
no line.
there's no line. It's just me. So he's obviously like seeing this person. And the funny thing is, he and I were chatting on Twitter for days before that, casually, like just talking. And I was all good. Everything was fine. And then so he sees this woman just bright, like I'm even getting red thinking about it. Just like 100 feet back, just staring at him. And then I walk up and I just was like, hi. And he's like, hi, how are you? Good. And I just like picked a picture and gave it to him. And then the funny thing is, I can't even look at the picture because I cringe at myself.
What?
Yes, because I remember how, and he was trying to get me to talk. He was so nice. And I could have just been like, oh, hey, I've been chatting with you on Twitter. We talked about this and this. And
Hmm.
then,
Okay, but like
no.
now, then after that experience, you leave. Did you like? Oh, I should have said this. I should have said that.
While it was happening, I knew that I was going to regret and I was going to go to a Hanson show a couple of months later with a friend of mine because we were like when I was 11, bop, that was like my jam, like rural PEI music. And then I canceled. I'm like, I'm not doing it because I'm not meeting anybody else ever again. I'm not doing it.
Do you have a list of these people that you want to see, but you won't be able to see even if you could?
Um, Not really,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because I truly do avoid those situations now completely. I just think that things are better in my head. And I think that I don't know why I build these people up to be something more than they are because 90% of the time they're just like Garrett Wang who is at Halcon who just wants to meet a fan, the only fan in the lineup that won't even look him in the eye. So yeah, it's been tested a few times.
Okay, okay, okay. So would you say, like, I'm not sure what's like on the island, but I mean there had to be a time you were working from home, right?
Hmm.
So like, was that a huge adaptation? Like, did it take you long to adapt to that, or was it just okay, fine?
To working from home during
Yep.
COVID. Um, I have two kids, so
Oh.
it was really difficult off the top because they were home from school too. So they were 6 and 8 at the time. Um, and my husband was also working from home, which is the only way we could have done it because the kids would just go from one to the other, you know. So at least we could have the odd
Mm,
call where we didn't have to have a kid in the background.
right.
And it was also an extremely, like, it was a pivotal point for a lot of smaller businesses because you had to adapt or die in COVID.
Mm,
We had to create an online store in a matter of weeks. We had to start doing home delivery, which we had never done before, overnight.
mm,
And that took everybody on our team, absolutely everybody on our team, to really dig in and just work through it. But it also, like, it proved to me that I was in the right place too, because I could do Zoom meetings where my daughter would interrupt and ask questions that had nothing to do with the Zoom meeting. And then my coworkers would just be like, oh, yeah, hey, Maisie. Yeah, yeah, totally. And then we just keep on going. Um, so it was perfect for that. And everybody really understood the struggles too. And like after we got past that major, everybody had to
mm.
push. Um, Mitch made sure that we all took some time off to just try to decompress a little bit. Yeah, so it was good. I still like working from home. Like this is my little home office setup. This is my COVID plant. I got him a month before lockdown, and it was just like a little sprout. And
Oh.
I'm ridiculously proud of that one plant that I don't actually know what it is, but it's yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. So that guy's like what like almost wait shoot. Yeah, sometimes it hits me that I kind of just took out 2020 from my head. And then when I say last year, I'm
Yeah.
talking about 2019, but like 2020 actually happened. Holy shit. Well, so
What
when
a
that very
blur.
first shut lockdown happened for you, like how was it, because it was kind of like it was March and we're not really sure what is going on. Like how was that for you though? Before like, okay, this is what is happening.
We kind of had, I mean, there were a few people on our team that kind of saw it coming, but only about a week in advance. Because, like, it was one of those things I think where everybody's brains were just not letting them actually comprehend what was going to be
Mm,
happening. Um, so initially, they closed schools. I think it was they extended March break a week. And so in my head, I was like, okay, so it's 2 weeks. We'll be back to
mm,
normal in 2 weeks. And I knew that wasn't right. And I think everybody knew that wasn't right. So it just took one or two people in a meeting to be like, we need to make a long-term plan for this, for all of our brains to sort of actually start to digest that this is going to be a completely different experience. Like we lived through history, we're living through
mm-hmm.
history, and our locations are not even close to hard hit. Like we've been living mostly carefree from anybody
Mm,
else's point of view. And I've got friends in major urban areas, and I don't know
right.
how they do it. I don't, because I found it so trying, even from our perspective on PEI. So I'm just so thankful, and I just feel so bad for
Mm,
anyone else.
mm, yeah.
How was your experience?
I think for me, like my people skills is suspect. So being that I have to work from home was like, oh my god, I don't need to see people and I can do all I need to do from the computer. So that was the first thing. But then the second thing was like, I I I just okay. So I was actually in Florida in March, and then I just went to a conference and I just came back. I just came back. I think like a couple of days before the lockdown happened, and it was like, okay, first off, this is like unprecedented. Like it hasn't happened since I've been born. To me, at least in my memory, I haven't remember where one thing affected the entire universe, right? Like all the planet. So, well, first thing, I was like, okay, I was like, you realize like a lot of people's lives going to change, right? Like, I was just grateful that I had a job, I could pay my bills. Okay, so that's fine. Like, my family is okay, from wherever they are, and we had, and the thing is, being like everything that is happening now, I've kind of been doing it all of my life because like my family's all over the world. So I've always been using like Skype. It wasn't Zoom then, it was Skype. Like, I've just been Skyping everyone. So it wasn't like different from communicating with them, but just like people that I could see 2 minutes down the road, it was like I can't see them. If we want to see each other, we have to stand that far apart. Like it was just, I think for me, and I have my grandma and my mom to thank for this. Like when when shit happens, like the very first thing you have to do is just like, okay, yeah, I'm in shit right now. What am I gonna do? Like, okay, what lesson is here, and how am I gonna make the best of this? So the one thing I did was just like start using like cool masks to express myself. And like started really talking more, and then things, I guess it really put things in perspective because people were dying a lot when it started. So it's like, okay, what are these things I want to do? Okay, start doing things I really felt like doing, and I it kind of really just shakes you a little bit. But then I think like in Nova Scotia, we're like lucky till just recently where like we had it, but it wasn't too bad. And then over time things would open, and we had the first, second one. Even it wasn't really bad with the first two waves. It was the third one that was really bad here. So it took a little bit of adapting, but I've always been like, I'm like, I think it just start first accepting that this is it. This is what is happening. How am I going to live with that? And I think, so far, so good. But one thing you do is run. How did running... wait, well, let's start with how did you even get into running?
I feel like I need to lead with I am the most unathletic person
You
that
can't say that and then you're doing all this
I am.
running daily and stuff. No, man.
But so it's only been probably this year that I would actually let somebody call me a runner because I'm very slow. And I've always thought of that as being, like a disqualifier as far as being called a runner. So I'd always say, oh, yeah, I'm a pokey pacer. I
Hmm.
like to jog, other words like that. But then even it was just actually during COVID when I could run and thinking about all of the people who were, locked in houses or not. Like I live in the country. It's amazing. And so I was just like, fuck that. I'm a runner too. I'm slow, but I get out there. Like I was out there at 5:30 this morning and I ran 5K and I felt great for it. And I don't care about how like what my time is anymore. It's just it's about the training for me and it's about the major endorphins that I get afterwards. Like it just sets my whole mental state right.
How,
It's just so
how long
good.
have you been doing it now?
I've been running since I ran my first half marathon around my 30th birthday. So I've been running for 6 years,
So
almost six
wait,
years.
yeah, like I guess what led you to do that first one? And like you have to do some running before you actually run a half marathon. And what's a half marathon, like the distance?
21.1 kilometers.
That's just
Um, so, and you know
no.
what? Do you know what it is? And I say this advice to everybody. I was sort of toying with running because basically I had a colicky infant and I needed to get out of the house and I couldn't think of anything else to do with myself but start running. Because really all you need is a pair of running shoes and you're good. So there was a trail by where we used to live. So I used to just leave the screaming infant with my husband and take off. And that was a fantastic excuse. So then I ran a 5K And my coworker at the time, Deb, who was and is now my longtime running buddy, um, she was like, well, if you can run 5K, you can run a half marathon. And I was like, no, you can't. And she's like, yeah, you can. And so she showed me a training plan for a half marathon that the longest run started at 3.2 kilometers, which is everybody can do it because you can walk it and you're still training. And that's the other thing is like you need to sort of let go of the elite runner, let go of all of that and like think about how you feel before versus how you feel afterwards. And there was so much accomplishment. Like I finished that first half marathon. I cried 3 times during that half marathon.
From pain
Right in
or
no, just from like I guess it was more I didn't know I could do it. And the fact that I
oh
was actually doing it, like I remember one of the hills, actually it's really funny, one of the hills in Charlottetown, somebody was shouting like, "You're doing it, Marsha, only 5K to go." And I was like, how did they know my name? And it was on my bib. So it's on my bib and I just forgot, but I was like, I bawled. And then I crossed the finish line and I cried again. And so every half marathon I've done, aside from the last one that I did virtually, I've cried because it's just been such like a dump of emotion. Like there's so much that goes into training.
wow.
And now I'm training for my first full marathon, which happens to be on my 36th birthday in October. So it's 5 days a week of running. And then there's a cross training day in there and a rest day. So I'm just trying to be kind to myself.
How you 5 days cross training? Oh, so the entire week you're doing something, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. So Tuesdays are my rest day. We also like to bike to work. So when the weather gets a little bit nicer, it's about 29 kilometers from my house to work through the trail system.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be like my husband and I usually switch days being able to bike in. So that I consider cross training. So I'll do that once a week.
Wait,
and
so
that round
you
trip.
bike in and then drive back together, or
Well, so somebody has to get the kids basically. So I will
right,
leave
right,
if I'm biking in, I leave at 7 in the morning and then I get to work at around 8:15 and then I leave work at 4 and get home around 5:15.
right, right. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
you just bike each way. Oh my god. Yep.
Yeah. But like I said, like I think that I'm not an athletic person and I feel like
Yeah.
I'm
No,
kind
like
of the poster child
no,
for
I don't think so. Like, I mean, no, I just no. Like you've done, like you run every day. I don't shoot. I don't even do like you know those like workouts you do while on TV, like you watch the TV and you box. I don't even do that, and I should. But I mean, you run. So like, is it the same distance every day?
So right now in my training, it's 2 days a week for a 5K, 2 days a week, and then one is a recovery run. And I do my recovery runs.
Sorry, what's
I
the
know
recovery run?
so a recovery run for me is running with my friend Kendra on Mondays, where we just chat and run for 3 minutes, then walk for a minute, chat, run for like it's so easy and relaxed. And and it's usually after a long run. Like I did 13 kilometers on Sunday, so my legs were dead on Monday, and I was like, Kendra, I need to walk, and she's like, okay, cool. Anyway, this happened at work, blah blah blah. Like so, it's giving yourself that flexibility of going slower and relaxed.
Recovery run, okay. So and then so you do and then wait, the recovery run is long, like is
No, it just like in my training, it just says recovery run. And what we do is we usually do between 5 and 6, but we take it so slow with tons of walk breaks. So that's why it's recovery. And we don't do like, I've got some pretty good hills on my actual run day. So then I do a 5K on Wednesdays, a speed training on Thursday mornings, and then Fridays is another 5K. And then next weekend, I think is 14 and a half kilometers for the next one. So I usually do that. We usually go camping on the weekend, so I usually do that around like the eastern part of PEI.
so like are you ever so if the half is 21, right? So the full one is 42?
42.2.
Right. What's the point 2 for now?
Well, I think is it miles? I don't know. Just to
Okay.
really like, once you get past 42, they're just like, haha, you're almost done. You have to run 42 more. You know what I mean? It's just to throw
Okay.
it in your face.
Right. So like while you're training for it, are you ever going to do the 42.2 like all the way before the actual race?
No, because and so that's
Oh.
the difference with the half. I usually like to run a half marathon 2 weeks before my half marathon, like run a home half marathon, just to. I think it's more for mentally to be like, hey, look, you're back, you can do this again, and then you go into
Mm-hmm.
the race and you're like, I got it because I did it 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But for the full, and because I'm so slow, I'm hoping for a sub 5. So like I'm going to be running for 4 hours and like 45 minutes. So there's been so many, so many papers written about the fact that if you go over like 3 or 3.5 hours of running, you're really not doing your body any good. You're just like, you can't really train like that for me because I'm so slow. So what I think my training ends at 35 kilometers or maybe even like 30 kilometers. Um, and that then it takes a big leap into the full marathon. It does that for half marathons too, usually. Like usually you stop training for a half marathon at around 16K. I just really like to do the half marathon before, but I won't be doing a full marathon before this one. Nope.
And running shoes, like how many do you go through?
I'm on my second pair this year, which is pretty good. I've worn this pair too long. I will probably go through at least, I'll probably go through this pair and another pair before my pair for the marathon because they just wear out, right? They're only good for like 400 kilometers. And I'm doing 30 a week right now. So that's
Right.
120 a month. And it's just,
So
and
every 10 weeks is gone,
yeah.
give
And
or
that's at
take.
the pace I'm at now, but I'm going to be leveling up on the weekends. Like I'm going to be, yeah, 14 and a half this weekend and then more. It'll be like 16 the next weekend and continue to go.
Ooh, what do you like about it?
Um, I like that I don't think I can do it. And I like
Oh.
that I don't look like I can do it. I don't look like a runner. Um, so I think that even getting up at 5 in the morning to run, the only reason why, well, no, it's not the only reason. I definitely don't have time in the rest of my day, but I'm willing to do that because I didn't think I could. So then when I did it, I was just like, holy shit. Like you can do whatever. Just do it. Just don't think about it. Just lay
Mm.
everything out in the morning. Like I even slept on the couch last night because I just couldn't get settled because I was antsy. So I went out to our couch and I put on YouTube videos to fall asleep to, and then the alarm went off at 5 a.m. and I just like rolled over and put the gear on and went out the door. But yeah, it's really because I don't think I can, and I spent so many years thinking that I couldn't do things like that, that I
Mm.
couldn't be athletic and I couldn't ever do anything like running a marathon, that I'm just ready.
What are like must haves whenever you go out for a run?
I like good headphones,
Mm.
um, Body Glide, which is like an anti-chafing thing, which is like a runner's number one thing that they are going to need, and athletic tape for your heels because they're awful. I've got blisters on my feet. I'm working in a new pair of shoes, so it's like very front of mind right now. And I like to have a shirt that I'm super comfortable in. That's the other thing too, is I don't think in my headspace there's room to feel like uncomfortable in my outfit. Like I can't, when I'm running, I can't be like, oh my God, this shirt doesn't look good. Because I need to focus so much on getting through a run. So I have to make sure that the gear that I have is gear that I feel 100% comfortable in.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so headphones again are probably my number one. I just got a new pair. These ones were terrible for running because they just kept on falling into my ears. But yeah, and a
Um,
nice hat, a really loud, obnoxious hat. That's my
Loud?
favorite thing. Oh yeah, neon
Why?
hats. Mostly because of making sure that cars see you on the road.
Mm.
Because my hats are like bright orange and hot pink. Especially when I'm out in the mornings. Like I have an Upstreet running shirt. It's like bright green, so
Mm.
that people can see me when I'm running. So you can't miss me. Ugh.
Wow. So, I'm gonna let you go soon, but like, you mentioned some of the things you love about working at Upcraft, but like, one of your focus now is Libra. What are some of the things you're doing on that end?
So Libra is actually, it's kind of perfect for all of us at Upstreet right now because we're all sort of getting to a point where craft beer is really heavily profiled in our lives, but we're not really up for the alcohol anymore. So Libra has actually been a fan. I've got a ton of it in my fridge right now, because it's working for me. Like I don't have to feel like I'm, missing out on having a beer in the evenings because I've got to get up at 5.
Mm-hmm.
But Libra has been a really cool thing to market because it's completely different marketing non-alcoholic beer versus our alcoholic other brands.
Mm-hmm.
We can market Canada wide, which has been so much fun. Selling Libra all over Canada has just been like, it's been so cool. Like our digital marketing has been really fun to play with different audiences. Our social media has been beautiful. That is my coordinator Grace is just so good at photos and content writing as well. She's awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, so I guess putting all of those pieces together, and then there's a lot of other things like the non-alcoholic community is super strong on Facebook, in Facebook groups. So we all joined a bunch of Facebook groups about non-alcoholic craft beer, and people love it, and they actually like trade it. So they'll be like, "Hey, I have this can of Athletic. If anybody has any Libra." Because
Mm.
before we weren't available in the States, so then you would see like, oh, I'll trade you two Athletics for two Libras, and they ship to each other, and it's just like this whole market thing.
Mm.
It's super cool, and people are really really engaged and into it. It's gonna be really fun to see where this whole market goes, and I love that Upstreet was like in it from the start, sort of a
Mm.
thing, because I feel like it was a really good move, and it's just delicious.
Well, my wife really likes the Libra too. But she seltzer. What's the seltzer?
Rewind.
Rewind. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a totally fun brand. It's so like I always think like again, it's just cooler than I am. So I have a lot of help. Like Mitch is super cool. So he's like, yeah, that's perfect. I'm just like, is it? Okay, great. Um, we're working with a local producer to do like a cool radio commercial right
Nice.
now, and it's really cool. It's a lot of fun because again, that's a totally different thing from craft beer too.
Mm.
It's a totally different market, totally different people drink it, and it's majorly on the rise too. And we're pushing that out into Nova Scotia as well, which is awesome. The more we can get into Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland, it's just like,
Nice. All right, I'm gonna
yeah.
let you go with this, right? So you've pretty much built this life for yourself to hear from, like, okay, I want to do graphic design, anthropology, and you've like learned so many things through the way, and you're here now. Um, what are some things you have planned moving forward?
Huh. That's an excellent question. I I want to maintain the balance that I have right now, um, as far as continuing to work with really supportive people who understand that life is about more than work, and also, make sure that I'm still focused on myself and being a great role model for my kids. I want to
Mm.
do more hard things. Like, I don't know, once I finish this marathon, will I want to keep running? I assume I will, but is there going to be something else out there? Like, am I going to be like, well, that wasn't hard enough anymore? Like, I want to do a triathlon and be that person that doesn't look like they do triathlons. So I don't know. I think professionally, I want to. Upstreet is really pushing me and really expanding my knowledge base and really allowing me to move and grow. And I
Mm.
think running is doing that for me too. Like I feel like everything is going well, and I just want it to keep going. So I don't really know what's up for the future, but I know that it'll be. I don't know. I can't get any better than this.
Oh man, Marsha, thank you so much for sharing and taking me back to Banff. That was great.
Let's go someday.
Yeah. Oh my god. Wait, when you like, it's weird that I mean, I think I prefer Banff in the winter though.
I've only
Me-
ever been in, so I would go in March and stay until like September, October.
Oh, okay,
So
so you
I've
kind of
never
like
actually been in the winter.
right,
Wait, have
right,
I?
right.
Wait, I visited in the winter, but I've
Okay.
never, yeah. Yeah, but I didn't snowboard, so it doesn't really stick out to me. So it's just
Yeah.
like cold. Pretty though.
Super pretty. Man, Marsha, thanks for coming to the sanctuary. It was great having you here.
It was so great to be here, Israel. Thank you so much.